Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Sherry Horner, your host at healthfitnessbroadcast.com. And my guest today is Benita Perkins, and she joins us from Maplewood, New Jersey. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Sherry. Glad
I'm,
to be here.
I'm glad you're here. Our topic today is health, fitness, and wellness for African American women. And you have been training women for many years. So I thought it would be great to pick your brain on this topic and talk about not only fitness, but the health. I read recently that 2.2 million African American people have diabetes. For every six white person that has it, 10 African Americans have it. That's really high. Um, so I thought we'd talk about diabetes and
The
fitness
issue, right?
and what you've done to be able to help people all of these years that you've been training.
You know, um, it's diabetes, it's heart disease, it's high cholesterol. It's a variety of issues that we seem to, as African Americans, seem to have the disadvantage of being more predominant in our race. So, a lot of that is goes back to historical. I mean, some of the ways we survived were on foods that now are not, where they helped us survive back then, because we were more active in the field and doing more things and being, really in slavery. Those attributes that probably kept us alive are not good for us now because, we're not as active. We're not having to survive in, those kinds of conditions. So, in fact, it's probably, did a flip flop. And yet that is not only is that our history of survival, but that's our history of, how we live, the kind of foods we eat, um, are just a big, play a big role in, having that disadvantage at this point in time. So now, it's kind of like undoing
Right.
a history of culture of, what's gotten us here. And that's what I work on now. I want to say I'm seeing a kind of a revelation in the African American community, understanding now that this is something we have to deal with. Where maybe 10, 15 years ago, even though we were suffering from it, it wasn't at the top of our minds
Right.
in my experiences.
Right. So,
So you're right about that.
how long have you been training clients?
I've been working with clients probably for, let's see, it's 2014, probably like 15, 16 years.
So, you've seen a
Um,
lot of different cases.
a lot of different cases. And Sherry, my conversations are more at the group level.
Mhm.
So it's more having, the workshops and interacting with a lot of people at once and just having these conversations and hearing, their viewpoints on the issue. Some of it's actually kind of interesting because uh, I think one of the big issues that we deal with is body image. Okay, and overall, um, African American women especially have a pretty good body image of themselves. They don't care what size they are. They'll
You feel
proceed
good
to say
being
look
them.
good,
Right. Yeah. Feel
and
good being
that's
yourself.
that.
Mhm.
Right. And so that's actually pretty incredible to feel positive about yourself at any size.
Right.
So it's a good thing, but when it affects your health, it's a bad thing.
Mhm.
So one conversation I have, what I understand is that we're also, different in terms of what's bad and what's good for us versus maybe other parts of the population. So you have this BMI index, for instance, that the government puts out. And it says that if your BMI is 25, which is, the weight to height ratio, that's perfect. You're in the middle. If it's 27, 28, say 27 to 29, okay, you're overweight. Anything 30 and over, you're obese. So I was at a conference and I was part of a health screening I was sitting at the end of the health screening, and so people would get their, their blood work, their, cholesterol levels, their uh, diabetes levels. I forget the term, and it's glucose levels, I guess. And then they would come to see me, and they would get their weight, and they would come to me with a little piece of paper with all the details on it that the machine had spit out. And if they wanted to know more about getting into a healthy lifestyle, come see me. So we come to the end, and I'd give them a little spiel. So this one woman came up. I think she was like 5'7", and she was probably maybe 180 pounds or so. I mean, she was definitely overweight. Okay, overweight. And her BMI was probably hovering around 30, let's say. Overweight, but not, she didn't look like morbidly obese. So I gave her the little numbers, and I said, well, based on this, on your height, and blah, 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 you should be like 145 pounds. She looked at me like I had three eyes on my head.
Yeah.
She thought that was like her ideal weight was around 155. That's where she perceived she looked her best. That's how she liked to live her life. And for me to tell her that this BMI, you're supposed to be, that was my first revelation. Not first
Right.
revelation, but it was a real revelation that we don't see the world the same. And that's not a bad thing.
Right.
Her 155 or whatever, if she felt good at that weight, if she was healthy at that weight, if she was working out,
And
then
so
she's
be it.
healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
it kind of works on the other side in that way. But we do have to be very careful of being comfortable at weights that are detrimental and lead to the issues that,
of
yeah,
diabetes and
diabetes.
right. Yeah. So I want to kind of jump forward before we go on to our next tips about fitness tips and health tips. Your seminars. Now you hold those in North Jersey, Philadelphia, New York. Is there anywhere you don't go?
No,
Okay.
no, I've been pretty much around the country
Okay.
doing
Sweet.
these things. So,
Sweet. That's good. So I will have her information in the description box. So if anyone would like to have her seminar come to your city, then you can contact Benita for that. Okay, what about some fitness tips? Now, you've been teaching fitness, and I want to talk about your workout video in a moment. But so you've seen all shapes, sizes, fitness levels. Um, are there any specific exercises that African American women want to focus on? Of course, everybody needs core strength, um, but is there anything else that you can
because,
recommend?
because of the weight issues involved, cardio is primary, I think, for any weight loss issue. That becomes the foremost. Of course, you want to do the resistance because that helps the metabolism, but really getting out there and being mobile and moving and finding ways to, add that activity to your day. Uh, in the general term, that is the most important thing I think that African Americans have to do. And a lot of times it's tough, if you're living not in a great area,
Mhm.
and it's difficult to walk because maybe it's not the safest place, or maybe it's not, for a variety of reasons, environmentally, crime, whatever it is. Maybe uh, it's just sidewalks aren't well. Who knows? It becomes a challenge to find that opportunity to get that cardio in. So at some level, if you don't have a car and you can't get to the mall, I mean, these are the issues we're dealing with.
Right.
For those who even want to make that change, how do we uh, make it easier to
Right.
bring that into your life? That
Right.
that is what. And when I'm in my seminars and talking, I mean, I talk a lot about the church and how important it is in bringing those opportunities in, because that is another cultural predominance, is religion, going to church.
Mhm.
Um, Everybody I know, whether they wherever they are in religion in their life right now, grew up in the church.
Right.
So there's that relationship at some point. And so the church has the great opportunity of maybe providing the tools to bring that activity in. It's a question we deal with.
Right. And I want to tie those two things together, the cardio and strength training and church. And I want to talk about your first DVD. So I went back and tried out your very first one. And this is really great cardio and strength training and fun. And it is called Taking It to a Higher Ground. So this will get you fired up really quick. What inspired you to produce this DVD?
You know, Terry, I've always been active. I've danced, even when and then I went on, to a corporate job, whatever, but it's always been a part of me. So when I was getting myself back in shape after my second kid, um, someone told me about, step class, because I didn't want to dance anymore. I was like, I needed something different. So I took the step class, fell in love. It was so much fun. I mean, I was falling in love with step, but it had there was choreography, there was creativity, there was, high energy. So to me, it was just, why isn't everybody doing this?
Right.
At the same time, as I was getting my own self back together, I started looking at the people around me, my mother, my niece, just people in my circle, and noticed there was a lot of, lot of weight there. And then as I started looking around everywhere, you just started thinking, what was the probability that if you saw an African American woman in particular, or man, what was the probability that they were going to be not overweight, but obese? And it became a high percentage wherever I was. So I was thinking, I love this step. I'm seeing these people around me who, are overweight. My own father was dealing with a lot of health issues, dealing with an unhealthy lifestyle, diabetes. He had everything: diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, everything. And eventually it took him away. But that was another motivation for me. So yeah, they were the things. And then there was an onset of gospel music that was very upbeat. You could dance to it. It's called house music now, the house music. But I thought, wow, here's Step. Here's this great gospel music. You guys, we need to get better. What was the question? So that's how it came about.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you did make this. It was really great. I tried it as soon as I got it in the mail. So thank you so much for this. It's really motivating. But let's go back just a moment, talk about the church, if you don't mind, since we're sisters in Christ.
Okay.
The church doesn't always talk about weight. It's taboo, so to speak, because if you noticed a friend in church that you're close with that has a drinking problem or some other addiction or issue or challenge, you could approach them with a loving heart and say, hey, let me pray with you, let me help you, let me support you. But when someone's overweight, it's a yeah, it's hard to approach them and say, I'm concerned about your health without hurting their feelings and having them walk away and say, no, she was just calling me fat, because I'm overweight. And even ministers don't speak on this enough. And even some ministers struggle with that issue. So it is, and you mentioned about programs in the church. There are very, very, very few churches that have a health and wellness program.
Well, it's interesting because I've been down to in Atlanta. There's that's the home of the mega churches, the churches that are 10,000 members. They have almost concert halls as their sanctuaries. And then and they have done. I mean, one has like a full basketball court kind of fitness area. So I think there is an understanding. It is not prominent in probably their gospel, and it depends on the church. I mean, my mother's church, I believe her minister encourages like going on doing the 3Ks and the 5Ks and walks. So
Good.
he has a penchant, and so it's really a personal decision based on the pastor. So I don't want to say it's not offered or pushed. I certainly have been invited to work at churches and do fitness classes or conversations. I think the issue is having the resources to do it properly. If you're trying to put a fitness or exercise program in place, and you pull someone from the liturgical dance group, because liturgical dance, that's movement, who has no understanding of group fitness,
Right.
which is there's some very specific, things you just need to understand with group fitness, how to deal with a crowd that's at different levels. Then you're going to have someone trying to teach a class that no one wants to come to because, you got the 60-year-old and then you got the 30-year-old all trying to come to the same class. And it's just
difficult, yeah.
Difficult. So I think that's really the piece there. It's not necessarily the apathy, or it's more understanding the resources and putting somebody in place who can actually put a successful program together. And since there's thousands and thousands of churches, you can't have one or two people do that. You need to have almost like a system.
Yeah, a committee.
Or
More than
exactly.
just one person trying to build it
Get
up. And
thousands of churches
right,
and set them up.
yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's a good tip.
I'm gonna let that bring.
One last tip for fitness or wellness tip for African American women, or one last message of motivation to get them moving back on track. What would you give us?
You there?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say a good tip to engage in right now is to get a pedometer and just start walking. I know a lot of times we have time issues as well as, where can we exercise or work out. But I think work is a perfect opportunity and place to get that time in, that lunch time. Taking 2 or 3 lunches a week and just, if you're in the city, walking the city blocks, and always having that goal each week to increase
the miles, yes, and the steps.
And I always say, and it's such a simple thing to do, and it just makes you more aware of your activity as you're doing it, and it's very inexpensive, and it's a start.
And you could even start a walking club at work, even if you're in a large building, up and down the steps to see who can get the most amount of steps by the end of the week. So that's good.
Right, it could be a little competition, and whoever wins has to buy salads for everyone.
Yes, that's good. I like that. I like that. Well, and another way is to get Benita's DVD and do this in your home. So just move some things out of the way and create a little space, and there you go. You don't even have to go outside. Well, thank you so much for bringing all this information and to help motivate people in your seminars and those watching today. So it's time to show Sherry your shoe. Show me your favorite shoe you have on today.
Okay, this is for your reward for working out. Okay, let me see if I can get this to you.
Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, just hold it up.
Oh, hold the shoe up.
Yeah.
Okay. You there? Okay.
Cute. Okay, so this is your fancy boot that you wear out when you're feeling good from all that exercise and staying fit. Cute. Cute
So are you,
boots.
I didn't
Okay.
know you. I thought I had to have it on. I'll take it off.
No, that's all right. That's cute. Okay, so show share your shoe. It can be a dress shoe, a high heel, a fitness shoe, or anything that makes you feel good. All
Okay.
right, good job. So my shoe today is the Asics again, the Gel Phoenix. These are my run around, wear all day shoes when I'm not exercising or training or running. Love it. I mean, these just feel like nothing, like I'm just wearing air. So love it, love it, love it. So thanks again,
Wow, that's good.
Benita. Thank you so much,
Future.
and we'll be in touch. Thanks again for joining us. Okay.